It was an accident, I swear. No one even saw it coming. It was a freezing cold night in LA, and my friend and I were trying to catch up with some other friends. He turned and said to me, "Stephanie, did you text them to say we were coming?" No, I didn't. So I pulled out my phone to text them, and that's when it happened. I tripped over some steps I didn't see right in front of me while wearing heels. It took me only 2 seconds to fall, and the only thing I remember was the crack. Fellow Toastmasters, and yes, has your body ever tried to speak to you? Mine did, and mine was screaming in my ear. I didn't realize how fragile the human body could be until I broke my ankle. With this whole experience, there were 3 very important things that I learned, which I want to share with you today. 3 things that made me feel grateful instead of regretful about the situation. The first one is I learned to take better care of my body. I don't know about any of you, I am out of shape. And I realized that when I started having to use my crutches. When I started using my crutches, people came up to me and asked, "So Stephanie, how do your armpits feel?" My armpits? What are you talking about? Not even a couple days later, I realized exactly what they meant. You're supposed to use your hands to support your body and not your armpits. Being out of shape, I relied so much on my armpits to keep my body weight up, and I became so sore after the longest time. So I learned I need to become in better shape. More importantly, I realized the importance of needing all 4 of my limbs to do daily tasks. Suddenly, those same things become very daunting chores. I can't drive with my right foot anymore. So I don't drive at all. I can't pick up a plate of food with 2 hands because I'm holding my crutches. And I certainly have a difficult time doing laundry. I have to put my bag between my crutch and my arm and hobble all the way to the laundry room, which is very tiring, by the way. The bottom line is, I need to take better care of my body. The second thing that I learned is the power of a good story. When I first broke my ankle, the only thing I could think about is the question I knew everyone would be asking. "Oh, Stephanie, what happened to your ankle?" Well, you know the truth. It is boring. So my friend and I, when he took me to the hospital, were trying to think of a good story to tell. We came up with a zombie apocalypse. Probably not going to happen. Being chased by homeless crackheads in LA. Well, we were in LA. The only part of that was a lie, was being chased. And then doing community service. Using that excuse was just wrong. It's so hard to come up with a creative story, and that made me feel so shameful as a Toastmaster. The funny thing is, when people didn't find the truth very appealing, they started making up stories of their own. The most common theory was that I was intoxicated, which unfortunately was not true. The second most common theory is that I got into a fight. Do I look like, Mars laughed, do I look like someone who would get into a fight?
No.
And the third one, don't answer that question. The third one, someone actually said this to me, "Did you kick a soccer ball too hard?" She was serious. The moral of the story is, if you don't have a good story, at least have a good moral. Which brings me to my third point. The most important thing that I learned, how crucial it is to be optimistic. To be honest, this entire situation could have gone down much differently. And I was very, very lucky for what happened. From the moment I fell, my friend was with me. I could have been by myself. There was a hospital just a few miles away, and I had insurance. And when the doctor looked at my ankle, he said to me, "Stephanie, you're very lucky. You don't need any surgery, and we don't need to re-break your ankle to fix it." And most importantly, my roommates, I am most grateful for, because every morning for the past 2 weeks and for the next 4 weeks, they'll drive me to work every single day. The 2 biggest things on my mind before this whole ordeal were, 1, I had so much work to do when I got back home from LA. And 2, I just got rejected by a guy I liked for a year. That sucks. But I soon realized those two things were trivial. And it took me a broken ankle to figure out what really meant a lot to me. My friends, my family, both of which are very supportive, and spending time for myself. And that was my biggest takeaway. Because being optimistic is the only attitude that's going to get you anywhere. Being negative will get you nowhere. So I learned to be more optimistic. When I broke my ankle, I felt like it was the end of the world. I don't know if any of you have ever broken anything, but I felt like I couldn't do anything anymore, and I was completely useless at home, at work. Anything I did, I needed help. But because I learned these three things, because I learned to take better care of my body, to tell a better story next time, and the power of optimism, I was able to get rid of all this clutter in my mind. I was able to refocus my thoughts and truly figure out what it is I wanted to do in life and how to get there. So now I turn it over to you. If any of you ever feel like your body is speaking to you, just as mine did, whether you break something, you get sick, whatever it may be, really think about what your body is trying to tell you. Listen with an optimistic attitude, and you just might be surprised. And by the way, I did manage to figure out a story to tell everyone else about what really happened to my broken ankle. I was giving my final speech in the CC manual, and if you really know me, you know I get very, very nervous before a speech. In fact, the reason why I broke it was a mistake. I called up my dad because I was trying to get out all my nerves, and I was talking to him on the phone, and all he could say was, "Stephanie, break a leg."